In this week's AI News Roundup, we take a look at the happenings from Davos, including interviews with Sam Altman, Satya Nadella, and some announcements from Meta. Let's start with Davos. AI essentially dominated all the talk at Davos this year.
Potential power and pitfalls of AI is top of mind here at the forum.
Sam Altman sat down with Ina Fried from Axios and made some predictions about the future of AI, new models, and also highlighted some of the work that OpenAI is doing to combat the concerns of AI in the upcoming elections this year. Let's hear some clips from that interview.
What can we expect AI to do this year that it couldn't do last year?
There are all these things that we can happen, and I'd love to talk about sort of all the specifics, but the general principle, I think the thing that matters most is just that it gets smarter. So GPT-2 couldn't do very much. GPT-3 could do more. GPT-4 could do a lot more. GPT-5 will be able to do a lot more. And the thing that, or whatever we call it, and the thing that matters most is not that it can, have this new modality or it can solve this new problem. It is the generalized intelligence keeps increasing. And we find new ways to put that into a product. We find new ways to use it. But that is the higher order bit. I think that dominates everything else in the importance, is that the overall capability of the model, its overall intelligence, its ability to do longer, more complex problems, more accurately, more of them, that is increasing across the board. And that to me is one of the few things that make this totally different from any previous kind of technology.
What are some of the limitations that you think this will be the year we overcome these? Not just you, Sam Altman, and OpenAI, but kind of the industry. What are some of the things that are on the cusp of being solved, whether it's hallucinations because of better grounding, whether it's merging AI with company data or specific data sets?
So that's a good one. I think access to specific data and the ability to use specific data in a much better way for like more relevant, more like context-aware work, I think that'll get much better this year. I think there's all sorts of the current stuff that people complain about, like the voice is too slow and it's not real time, and that'll get better this year. I think where we're headed, and then I'll talk about this year, is we're headed towards the way you use the computers to talk to it. The operating system of a computer, in some sense, is close to this idea that you're like working inside of a chat experience or an AI experience, and you get to your computer, and rather than go open a browser and type in Gmail and look through your emails or whatever, you might just say like, what were my most important emails today? Can you respond to all of those? I'll see these. Go find this thing there and send it there. So we're heading towards this new way to kind of do knowledge work. This is, I think with every great technological revolution, we do get an opportunity to use a computer in a new way. And we won't get all the way there this year, but I do think we'll see people do more and more of their workflow inside of a language model, for lack of a better.
What are some of the things that absolutely will come that we'll want but are more than a year away?
The single thing that I think is most important to me about what AI will do for us is help vastly accelerate the rate of scientific discovery, make new scientific discoveries increasingly autonomously. I don't think that's a this year thing, but I think when that happens, it's a huge deal.
Do you have a model in the labs that's trained only on stuff that you have a right to?
I appreciate for sure the effort to get me to talk about a model in the labs, but we never do that.
With so many elections around the world this year, including, of course, the US presidential election, how confident are you that OpenAI's technology won't be used by either campaigns or outside actors to influence the election?
It's one of our top worries for the year. So we put this stuff out. We want to get way ahead of it. We know this is going to be important. I think in any election, people are tempted to fight the last war and put their effort into what happened last time and try to mitigate that. My expectation, although it may be wrong, is that this time around there's going to be new challenges, and we've got to really be prepared in addressing those, and we don't yet know what all of them are. We have some ideas, as you mentioned. We published a lot of stuff yesterday, but we really just want to have a very tight feedback loop, careful monitoring, be willing to make changes quickly if we notice anything, and work with the broad ecosystem of partners to do the best that we can. But I'm nervous about this, and I think it's good that we're nervous about this.
The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, also spoke at Davos, and in an interview with Bloomberg, Just after Microsoft surpassed Apple in the market cap for the very first time in a long time, Satya spoke about betting on copilots. He also spoke about the possibility of an AI device from Microsoft after giving great reviews to the Rabbit R1, which was announced at CES last week. Let's hear some clips from that interview.
Speaking of what comes next, you guys have been fairly aggressive and out in front on adding AI features and capabilities to your products. And yesterday, you made an announcement where you're expanding the rollout of the Copilot tool, fueled partly by your partnership with OpenAI, into Microsoft products like Outlook and Word and Excel. Talk a little bit about that, and how widely do you expect those tools to be used?
Yeah, I mean, if I step back, if you sort of look at what has happened even in the last, I would say, 16 months, right? You have to go back to November of 22 when ChatGPT first came out. I think that was the moment which I like to describe as the mosaic-like moment. In fact, interestingly enough, it was November of 93, a year after I joined Microsoft, when Mosaic first came out. I think that's the first AI product that we all could relate to and get a real sense of what this generation of AI can do in our lives. But for me, maybe the product that should have really helped crystallize the potential was GitHub Copilot, which probably came 6-8 months before that. And especially when we scaled from GPT-3 to 3.5, that's around the time when we felt that if you can take something like software development, which is, let's call it, the most elite knowledge work there is, and have a tool that allows a software developer, in fact, bring joy back to software development, keep them in flow, get them to finish tasks, that to be solidified. In fact, the idea that you can have a copilot for pretty much every human task. And so we have been on that journey. And we're anchored on two real things, right? The one thing, the breakthrough, is the user interface. In fact, 70 years of computing history has always been about, can you build that most intuitive user experience? That's kind of how it led to graphical interfaces or the multi-touch phone or what have you. But now with natural language, you ultimately, in some sense, have arrived at that point where it's not about us understanding computers, but computers understanding us. So that's one major breakthrough. The other breakthrough is we now have a new reasoning engine, which is a neural reasoning engine, because the other 70-year history of computing was we digitize people, places, and things and try to make sense of it, reason about it. And so we now have a new capability. So you put these two things together, a new user interface that's much more intuitive, grounded in natural language, multimodal, multi-turn, multi-domain, and a reasoning engine. Pretty much every software category, what is productivity, what is an operating system, what's a browser, they all in some sense collapse. And so that's why to us Copilot, just as maybe in the past we were known as an Office company or a Windows company or a cloud company, I think going forward we will be. We have a Copilot, we have a Copilot stack in Azure, which is all the APIs, and that's sort of what our core focus is.
So far, for example, with the integration of ChatGPT into Bing, have the results met your expectations, or has it been over?
I think if you sort of take the combination of sort of ChatGPT usage and even Bing usage or Copilot usage, I think it's at this point you have to sort of ask yourself your own user habit, right? How many times do you go, for example? I think the real question here is the largest software business there is search, as we know. And the question is that stable? I think, like all big things, it'll take time. But I think at this point, the idea that you go to one of these agents that gets you to the answer quicker is pretty clear. It doesn't mean that search as we know of it today. I mean, Google obviously is super strong. They have the defaults on Apple. They have their own Android defaults. Chrome on Windows is the largest browser share and what have you. So it's a structurally a fantastic position that they have. But that said, I think search as we know of it is going to change, and the web as we know of it is going to change. And so we have a real opportunity, whether it's with Bing, but also even independent of Bing, for example. That's why I think about Copilot as our real product, right? To me, the relationship we all will have with computers is going to be now with an agent. which will be on all your computers. And to me, that I think is going to be the defining category of this next generation.
Do you feel like we're coming to the end of the smartphone era? And what does an AI successor to the smartphone look like? And does Microsoft eventually play in that category?
Yeah, I thought CES this year was very interesting. Obviously, I thought the demo of the Rabbit OS and the device was fantastic. I think I must say, after Jobs' sort of launch of iPhone, probably one of the most impressive presentations I've seen of capturing the vision of what is possible going forward for what is an agent-centric operating system and interface, and I think that's what everybody's seeking. Which device will make it and so on, it's unclear. But I think it's very, very clear that computing, I go back to that, right? If you have a breakthrough in natural interface, where this idea that you have to go one app at a time and all of the cognitive load is with you as a human, does seem like there can be a real breakthrough. Because, in the past, when we had the first generation, whether it was Cortana or Alexa or Siri or what have you, it was just not, it was too brittle, where we didn't have these transformers, these large language models, whereas now we have, I think, the tech to go and come up with a new app model. And once you have a new interface and a new app model, I think new hardware is also possible.
And is that an opportunity for Microsoft, or are you moving away from hardware?
For always, it's an opportunity for us. And so, yeah, we make hardware today. We have Surface devices. We make mixed reality devices. The biggest hardware business we happen to have is our cloud. We stream from the cloud. So therefore, I think you'll see us exercise the full stack of it.
As we all know, Meta has been making significant investments in generative AI through their open source models, LLAMA 1, LLAMA 2, which have been awesome. And now, Mark Zuckerberg confirmed via Instagram that Meta AI is currently working on LLAMA 3. And he also talked about 350,000 H100 GPUs that he's acquiring from NVIDIA this year, which makes Meta one of the biggest buyers of compute. And it also sends a very, very huge signal that Meta is here to stay in this AI game. Let's hear some of the things that Mark Zuckerberg had to say about their plans for AI this year.
Hey everyone. Today I'm bringing Meta's two AI research efforts closer together to support our long-term goals of building general intelligence, open sourcing it responsibly, and making it available and useful to everyone in all of our daily lives. It's become clearer that the next generation of services requires building full general intelligence. Building the best AI assistants, AIs for creators, AIs for businesses, and more, that needs advances in every area of AI, from reasoning to planning to coding to memory and other cognitive abilities. This technology is so important, and the opportunities are so great that we should open source and make it as widely available as we responsibly can, so that way everyone can benefit. And we're building an absolutely massive amount of infrastructure to support this. By the end of this year, we're going to have around 350,000 NVIDIA H100s, or around 600,000 H100 equivalents of compute if you include other GPUs. We're currently training LLAMA 3, and we've got an exciting roadmap of future models that we're going to keep training responsibly and safely too. People are also going to need new devices for AI, and this brings together AI and the metaverse. Because over time, I think a lot of us are going to talk to AIs frequently throughout the day. And I think a lot of us are going to do that using glasses, because glasses are the ideal form factor for letting an AI see what you see and hear what you hear, so it's always available to help out. Ray-Ban Meta glasses with Meta AI are already off to a very strong start, and overall across all this stuff, we are just getting started.
Now, the next video we're going to be talking about is coming from Elon Musk and Tesla. And if you're like me and you have your clothes scattered around the house, you might like this one. And this is a Tesla robot actually folding a cloth. Now, one thing to note about this particular video is that essentially this is not happening autonomously by the robot, but this shows that it is possible and that in due time we're going to have robots that are going to be actually useful around the house. I really want this one to happen soon enough because I need this help. I'm sure most of you do as well. All right, on to some product announcements from last week. Pinecone released Pinecone serverless, which is supposed to be 50 times cheaper than their Pinecone pod offering. So if you're looking to build a RAG system and you're already using the Pinecone vector store, this is good news for you. You can get much better performance at a cheaper price using Pinecone serverless. In our final product announcements, LangChain released a new framework called LangGraph, which is for orchestrating and coordinating agents for complex interactions in stateful applications. I'm going to be exploring a tutorial on this particular topic in the next video, so stay tuned for that. Now, if you like this type of content, you want to hear more about news and happenings in the AI world, consider dropping us a like and subscribing. Turn on the notifications because we drop this type of content every single week. Until next time, have a great one.